cousin falsely accused me of SA, but now things took a turn, and she begs for my forgiveness. Hey Reddit, I'm Mike, 27 male, and I'm here to share my story. It's taken me a long time to muster up the courage to write this down, but I think it's time. For the past few years, my life has been a living hell, and it all started because of a false accusation from someone I thought I could trust. My cousin, Emily, 26 female. Growing up, Emily and I were pretty close. We're the same age, and we spent a lot of time together at family gatherings, holidays, and even just hanging out. We shared secrets, dreams, and aspirations. It was the kind of bond you'd expect to last forever. But everything changed when we were both 22. One night, after a family barbecue, Emily and I were hanging out in the basement of my parents' house, watching a movie. I remember it so clearly because it was the night my entire world turned upside down. Emily had a bit too much to drink, and things got a bit awkward. She started making advances towards me, but I was completely caught off guard and uncomfortable with the whole situation. I tried to brush it off and told her she should go to bed. The next morning, I woke up to my phone blowing up with messages and missed calls from my parents and other family members. When I finally answered, my mom was in tears, and my dad was furious. Emily had told them that I had SA'd her. I was in shock and denial, trying to explain what had actually happened, but no one wanted to listen. They had already made up their minds. My family cut all contact with me. They believed Emily's story without question. I was completely ostracized. I lost not just my family, but my entire support system. My parents, who had always been my rock, turned their backs on me. I was alone, and the weight of the false accusation crushed me. Emily, on the other hand, started using the situation to her benefit. She knew I was desperate to clear my name and get my life back on track. She began blackmailing me, demanding money and favors in exchange for her silence. She threatened to go to the police and make the situation even worse if I didn't comply. I was trapped in a nightmare with no way out. I gave in to her demands because I was terrified of the consequences. I didn't have the resources to fight a legal battle, and I couldn't bear the thought of the stigma that would come with a public accusation. Emily milked me for everything I had, my savings, my dignity, and my peace of mind. The first few months after my family cut me off were the hardest. I was living in a tiny, run-down apartment because I couldn't afford anything better. I had to find a new job because my previous employer let me go after hearing the rumors. I was barely making ends meet, and the constant fear of Emily's threats loomed over me like a dark cloud. I fell into a deep depression. There were days when I couldn't even get out of bed. I stopped talking to my friends because I didn't want to drag them into my mess. I felt like a pariah, marked by a crime I didn't commit. The loneliness was suffocating, and the isolation took a toll on my mental health. Therapy helped a bit, but it was hard to open up completely when I knew there was always the risk of my therapist not believing me. I felt trapped in a never-ending cycle of pain and despair. Every time I saw a message from Emily demanding more money, it felt like a knife twisting in my gut. Despite everything, I tried to keep a glimmer of hope alive. I kept telling myself that the truth would come out eventually, that justice would prevail. But the reality of my situation made it hard to believe in anything good. I was forced to move to a different city, away from everything I knew. I needed to start fresh, somewhere no one knew me or the false accusations. The transition was tough. I had to find a new job, a new place to live, and try to build a new life from scratch. Every time I thought I was making progress, Emily would call or text, reminding me that she still had power over me. I got a job at a local coffee shop, which barely paid enough to cover my rent and basic expenses. The work was exhausting, and I often found myself working double shifts just to make ends meet. My coworkers were nice enough, but I kept my distance, afraid that getting too close would mean exposing my past. Every time I saw a message from Emily demanding more money, it felt like a knife twisting in my gut. She knew exactly how to push my buttons, how to make me feel worthless and trapped. I started to wonder if I would ever be free from her grasp. The struggle didn't just stay confined to my financial and emotional well-being. It started affecting my physical health too. The constant stress led to severe insomnia. I would lie awake at night, my mind racing with thoughts of what could have been if Emily hadn't lied. My diet went downhill. I lost a significant amount of weight because I either couldn't afford proper meals or simply had no appetite. My new life in the city was a far cry from what I had imagined for myself. I avoided social interactions as much as possible, scared that people would somehow find out about my past and judge me. The paranoia was crippling. I found myself scanning the faces of strangers on the street, convinced that they knew my story and were silently condemning me. I tried to keep myself occupied with work and mundane routines. I would get up early, go for a run, and then head to the coffee shop. My shifts were long and tiring, but they kept my mind off the constant fear and anxiety. My manager, Sarah, was a kind woman in her mid-40s who noticed my reluctance to engage with others. She tried to reach out a few times, offering a sympathetic ear, but I couldn't bring myself to open up to her. There were moments when I thought about giving up altogether. The thought of ending everything crossed my mind more than once, but I couldn't bring myself to do it. Something deep inside me kept fighting, kept hoping that one day the nightmare would end. One night, after a particularly grueling double shift, I returned to my dingy apartment and found another message from Emily. This time, she wanted a significant sum of money, threatening to go public with her lies if I didn't comply. I stared at the screen, feeling a mix of anger, fear, and helplessness. I knew I couldn't keep giving in to her demands, but the fear of what she might do paralyzed me. I started writing in a journal, documenting everything that had happened since that fateful night. It was my way of coping, of trying to make sense of the chaos my life had become. I poured my heart out onto the pages, detailing every emotion, every fear, and every moment of despair. It was therapeutic in a way, helping me process the trauma I had endured. The turning point. Months went by, and the weight of Emily's blackmail grew heavier. I was sinking deeper into debt, borrowing money from payday lenders just to keep up with her demands. My apartment was falling apart, with leaky faucets and broken windows that I couldn't afford to fix. The isolation and fear were suffocating, and I started to believe that there was no way out. Then, one day, something changed. I was at work, wiping down tables during a slow afternoon, when Sarah approached me. She had a concerned look on her face and asked if we could talk. I reluctantly agreed, fearing that she had somehow discovered my past. We sat down in the back room, and she gently asked if everything was okay. She mentioned that she had noticed how withdrawn and stressed I had been and wanted to help. For the first time, I felt a glimmer of hope. Maybe, just maybe, someone could understand and support me. I decided to take a chance and opened up to Sarah. I told her everything: the false accusation, the family cutting me off, the blackmail, and the constant fear. It was the first time I had spoken about it to anyone, and it felt like a huge weight had been lifted off my shoulders. Sarah listened intently, never interrupting or judging. When I finished, she placed a reassuring hand on my shoulder and told me that she believed me. She offered to help me find legal assistance and even connected me with a support group for survivors of false accusations. It was the first time in years that I felt like I had an ally. With Sarah's help, I found a lawyer willing to take my case pro bono. We started gathering evidence and preparing to confront Emily legally. It was a daunting process, but knowing that I had support made it more bearable. The support group was also a lifeline, connecting me with others who had faced similar ordeals. Their stories and encouragement gave me the strength to keep fighting. Then something unexpected happened. Emily reached out to me, but this time it wasn't to blackmail me. She was desperate and scared. It turned out that my family had discovered the truth, that she was the one who had tried to assault me that night, and she had falsely accused me to save herself. Emily's world had come crashing down. She lost the support of our family, and they were furious with her for the lies and the pain she had caused. She was begging for my help, asking for financial support and a place to stay because she had nowhere else to go. I couldn't believe the audacity. After everything she put me through, she had the nerve to ask for my help. Part of me wanted to help her because I'm not a monster, but the other part of me couldn't forget the hell she had put me through. I decided to refuse her. I told her that I couldn't help her and that she needed to face the consequences of her actions. It was one of the hardest things I've ever done, but I knew it was the right decision. Since then, my parents have also reached out to me. They sent me long messages apologizing for not believing me and asking for a chance to make things right. They want to reconcile, but I haven't opened their messages yet. I don't know if I'm ready to forgive them. The pain of their betrayal still feels fresh, and I'm not sure if I can ever trust them again. I'm still trying to figure out what to do next. Part of me wants to move on and leave the past behind, but another part of me feels like I need closure. I've started seeing a new therapist who specializes in trauma, and it's helping. I'm slowly rebuilding my life, one step at a time. Writing this down has been cathartic. If you've made it this far, thank you for reading. If there's one thing I've learned from this ordeal, It's that sometimes the people you trust the most can hurt you in ways you never imagined. But I'm determined to keep moving forward, no matter how hard it gets. I'll keep you updated if anything changes. For now, I'm just taking things one day at a time, trying to heal and find my way back to some semblance of normalcy. Living alone in a new city had its own set of challenges. My small apartment was far from ideal, but it was all I could afford. The neighbors kept to themselves, and the isolation only compounded my sense of loneliness. I started taking long walks around the city, trying to clear my mind and find some peace. The city was vibrant and full of life, but I felt like a ghost, drifting through the streets without purpose. My interactions with people were minimal. At the coffee shop, I kept conversations short and avoided getting too close to anyone. The fear of being judged or discovered was always at the back of my mind. I missed my family, despite everything. The memories of happier times haunted me, and I often found myself reminiscing about family gatherings and holidays. The support group meetings became a crucial part of my routine. Hearing others share their stories of false accusations and betrayal gave me a sense of camaraderie. We were all victims of someone else's lies, and it was comforting to know that I wasn't alone. The group leader, Mark, was particularly inspiring. He had been falsely accused of embezzlement by a former colleague and had spent years fighting to clear his name. His resilience and determination were a beacon of hope for all of us. As I worked with my lawyer to gather evidence, I began to feel a sense of empowerment. For the first time in years, I was taking control of my life. We collected messages and recorded calls from Emily, documenting her blackmail and threats. It was a slow and meticulous process, but each piece of evidence brought me one step closer to justice. I also started reconnecting with old friends, explaining my situation and seeking their support. It was difficult to open up, but their understanding and encouragement were invaluable. My friend Alex, 26 male, who had known me since high school, was particularly supportive. He never doubted my innocence and helped me navigate the complexities of my legal battle. Therapy sessions with my new therapist were intense but necessary. We delved deep into the trauma and its impact on my mental health. He taught me coping mechanisms and strategies to manage my anxiety and depression. Slowly, I began to see a glimmer of hope on the horizon. Then day came when we were ready to confront Emily legally. My lawyer filed a restraining order against her and initiated a defamation lawsuit. The legal battle was exhausting, but I was determined to see it through. Emily, faced with the mounting evidence against her, started to panic. She tried to contact me multiple times, but I ignored her messages. One night, she showed up at my apartment, banging on the door and begging for forgiveness. I called the police, and they escorted her away. It was a pivotal moment for me. For the first time, I felt a sense of justice. Emily could no longer control me or my life. After Emily's arrest, my parents reached out to me again. Their messages were filled with apologies and regret. They admitted that they had been wrong to believe Emily without questioning her story. They wanted to make amends and rebuild our relationship. I was torn. On one hand, I missed my family and longed for their support. On the other hand, their betrayal had left deep scars. I wasn't sure if I could ever fully trust them again. I decided to take things slow, responding to their messages but maintaining a distance. I needed time to heal and figure out if reconciliation was possible. The legal proceedings against Emily were still ongoing, but I was starting to rebuild my life. I moved to a better apartment, closer to the city center, and started taking night classes to further my education. I was determined to make something of myself, despite the obstacles I had faced. The support from Sarah, my lawyer, and the support group was unwavering. They had become my new family, helping me navigate the complexities of my situation. I also reconnected with my sister, who had initially believed Emily, but later came to my defense. Her support was a balm to my wounded heart. Finally, the court ruled in my favor, granting the restraining order and holding Emily accountable for her actions. The defamation lawsuit is still in progress, but I'm hopeful for a positive outcome. My relationship with my parents is slowly improving. We've had a few long conversations, and they've expressed genuine remorse for not believing me. It's going to take time to rebuild trust, but I'm willing to give it a try. My sister has been instrumental in facilitating these conversations, and I'm grateful for her support. I've also made new friends in the city, people who know my story and accept me for who I am. It's a liberating feeling, knowing that I no longer have to hide or live in fear. I've started dating again, something I never thought I'd be able to do. It's been a slow process, but I'm learning to open my heart again. Writing this down has been cathartic. If you've made it this far, Thank you for listening. If there's one thing I've learned from this ordeal, it's that sometimes the people you trust the most can hurt you in ways you never imagined. But I'm determined to keep moving forward, no matter how hard it gets. I've found strength in unexpected places, in the kindness of strangers, the support of friends, and the resilience of my own spirit. I'm not fully healed, and there are still days when the weight of the past feels overwhelming. But I'm on the path to recovery, and for that, I'm grateful. To anyone out there going through a similar situation, know that you're not alone. There is hope, even in the darkest of times. Surround yourself with people who believe in you, seek help when you need it, and never give up on yourself. I'll keep you updated if anything changes. For now, I'm just taking things one day at a time, trying to heal and find my way back to some semblance of normalcy. Thanks for listening. Reddit. Update 1. Hi everyone. As the dust settled, I found myself reflecting on the journey I had been through. It was a harrowing experience, but it also taught me invaluable lessons about resilience, trust, and the power of support. I decided to channel my experiences into something positive. I started volunteering at a local organization that supports survivors of false accusations. Sharing my story and helping others navigate their own battles gave me a sense of purpose. I wanted to be a beacon of hope for those who felt as lost and hopeless as I once did. My nights were no longer filled with fear and anxiety. I could sleep peacefully, knowing that I was in control of my life. The nightmares that once plagued me were replaced with dreams of a brighter future. I was slowly but surely reclaiming my life. Looking back, I realize how far I've come. The road was long and arduous, but I emerged stronger and wiser. I learned to trust myself and to rely on the strength within me. My past no longer defined me. It was a part of my story, but it wasn't the whole story. I'm still in touch with my parents, and while our relationship is far from perfect, it's a work in progress. Forgiveness is a journey, and I'm taking it one step at a time. My sister and I are closer than ever, and her unwavering support has been a lifeline. Emily's actions will always be a painful chapter in my life, but I refuse to let it overshadow the future. I found love again, and my partner understands and supports me in ways I never thought possible. Together, we're building a life filled with hope, love, and endless possibilities. Sharing my story has been a cathartic experience, and I hope it resonates with those who might be facing similar challenges. Remember, you are stronger than you think, and there is always hope, even in the darkest of times. I'll keep pushing forward, embracing each day as it comes, and living my life to the fullest. The past no longer holds me captive, and the future is mine to shape. Thank you, Reddit, for being a part of my journey. Update 2. It's been a year since my last update, and I'm happy to report that life has continued to improve. The defamation lawsuit against Emily was resolved in my favor, and she was held accountable for her lies and blackmail. The legal victory was a significant milestone in my journey towards reclaiming my life. My relationship with my parents has also continued to heal. We've had countless conversations, therapy sessions, and moments of reflection. While the scars of their betrayal remain, we're slowly rebuilding trust and understanding. My sister's support has been unwavering, and our bond has grown stronger with each passing day. I've continued my work with the support organization, and it has become a cornerstone of my life. Helping others who have been falsely accused gives me a sense of purpose and fulfillment. I've met incredible people through this work, and their stories inspire me to keep fighting for justice and truth. My partner and I recently moved in together, and we're building a beautiful life. She understands my past and supports me in ways I never thought possible. We've talked about the future, and for the first time in a long time, I'm excited about what lies ahead. Update 3. It's been another year since my last update, and some of you reached out to me for a final update, and I'm thrilled to share that life has continued to blossom in ways I never imagined. My partner and I got engaged last month, and we're planning a small, intimate wedding with close friends and family. It's a new chapter, filled with love and happiness. My work with the support organization has grown, and I've taken on a leadership role, advocating for policy changes and greater support for those falsely accused. We've made significant strides, and I'm proud of the impact we're making. My relationship with my parents continues to evolve. We've had our ups and downs, but we're committed to healing and moving forward. Forgiveness is a journey, and while it's not always easy, it's worth it. My sister remains a pillar of support, and our bond is unbreakable. As I reflect on the past few years, I'm filled with a sense of accomplishment and peace. The journey was arduous, but it shaped me into the person I am today, resilient, compassionate, and hopeful. I've learned to trust myself and to embrace the future with open arms. This is my story, and I'm proud of it. The future is bright, and I'm ready to embrace it with hope and love. Thank you for listening and for being a part of my journey.